Hi, and welcome back to Biblical Theology, Exegesis, and Hermeneutics, where meaning is always context-driven. I'm your host, John Strazicich. Okay, so we are studying in the book of Amos, and according to the superscription, the title of this book is Divrei Amos, the words of Amos. And this is an exegetical study in the prophecy, poetry, and politics of the prophet Amos. And welcome back. And today, if you do have your Bibles, we will be in chapter 4. Okay, then once again we come back to the Aleppo Codex, and we begin here in 4:1. Shim'u hadavar hazeh parot ha-Bashan asher behar Shomron ha-oshekot dalim ha-rotzatzot evyonim. And notice here we have a hatef patak instead of just a schwa. Ha-omrot la-adonehem ha-bi'ah v'nishte Nishba Adonai Elohim Bekodsho Ki Hene Yamim Ba'im Alechem V'nisa Etchem B'tzinot V'acharit Chen B'tzirot Duga Uperatzim Tetzena Isha Negda V'hish Laktena. But we're going to read this, not vihish. We're gonna read this vihosh laktena ha-harmona neum Adonai, and we'll end it there because when we go there into verse 4, it begins a new unit. But anyhow, so this here is our text, and it says, "Hear this word, O cows of Bashan, who are in Mount Samaria, who oppress the poor and crush the needy, who say to their husbands, bring that we may drink." And then it says, the Lord Elohim, or Adonai Elohim, has sworn in his holiness, for behold, the days are coming upon you, and he will lift you up or carry you away with fish hooks, and your hinder parts, he will carry you away with hooks, and your latter parts with fish hooks, and you shall go out through the breaches, each one straight forward, and you shall be cast out to Harmon, and we don't really know where this Harmon is, and it ends with an affirmation formula, Neum Adonai. It's basically Jehovah's signature. So that's our text, and it's pretty solid, and there is some variations here. We'll look at the going from masculine to feminine here, and we need to talk about that. But that is our text and our translation. Okay, then coming to this slide, we'll let Dr. Marvin Sweeney set the table for us as we approach our text. The prophet turns to an announcement of punishment against the women of Samaria in Amos 4:1-3. Although the pericope begins with a formal call to attention, analogous to those of Amos 3:1 and 5:1, it does not mark the beginning of a new unit within the larger structure of the book of Amos. Rather, it marks a new subunit with Amos 3:1-4:13 that takes up the punishment of the women of Samaria within the overall context of punishment against Israel in general and Samaria in particular. Much like Isaiah, who announces punishment against the women of Jerusalem, as well as the men, Amos recognizes that any scenario of punishment against the nation of Israel will have an impact on both men and women. And so he's just compared this to to the analogy that we would find there in the book of Isaiah. So that was very astute here of Dr. Sweeney, and I would definitely if you had the time and resources, his works are very valuable. Okay, coming then to this slide, we're looking here at the structural analysis that we have gone through so far in chapters 3 to 4. And we've taken up these in the previous, point 1 and 2 in the previous videos. Today we're here on point 3, calling out the cash cows of Bashan here, and this here is 4:1 to 3, and our today we're only going to make it to the cows of Bashan here in chapter 4:1 to 3, and it comes down to we're going to also have it breaks down into 3 subunits here of A, B, and C, and it begins with the call to attention. We have the formal call, the addressees, and their location. This is all here in the first part of verse 1. And then we have Amos's accusations against the cows of Bashan here in the rest of the verse. And we have, it breaks down here into this, into these 2 die sticks here. About how they're oppressing and crushing the poor and needy, and then also what they say to their husbands, bring wine that we may drink, and then lastly, the last part then is Jehovah's oath to exile the violent women of Samaria. It has the oath formula. It begins. It has the eschatological date formula. Behold, the days are coming. And then they're pulled out with fish hooks, and they're sent into exile to Harmon. And I guess we do need to have point 5 down here, and it ends with the affirmation formula, Ne'um Adonai. So that would basically, take up our structure here of how we're then, when we look at this unit, it definitely breaks down into A, B, and C. So we have a call to attention, we have Amos's accusations against the cows of Bashan, and then Yahweh's oath to exile the violent women of Samaria. Okay, it would be important here for in order for you to really understand the text, you have to understand the geography here of the text. And what you're seeing here is this is the Yarmouk River that flows down, and eventually it makes its way into the Jordan River. But back here, these are the tablelands, the Bashan tablelands, and they straddle both sides of the Yarmouk River. But by and large, the northern portion of the tablelands are the most favored for cattle, and this is so when it refers to the cows of Bashan, it's referring to this very fertile, rich cattle country, where the cows it's perfect grazing and grass, and so that they're the most healthy specimens available. Just like the happy cows of California. Okay, then to kind of get another view of where we're looking at, the Yarmouk River is here, and so this tableland area consists of this area here on both sides of the Yarmouk. But this area up here is referred to as this land of Bashan here. And you'll notice here that the Sea of Galilee is here just to the north, and so this is a really very rich, fertile region here of Israel, and Samaria is down here. So you notice here that he's referring to the you cows of Bashan who dwell in Samaria. So you're going to have to be able then to understand the use of metaphor here, and then you need to transfer that down here then to Samaria. And in order for you to really understand what's going on in the biblical text, you got to understand the background. So definitely meaning is is driven by the context. It's very important. Okay, then here is the hill of Samaria here, and this is some the archaeological remains of the city of Samaria, and so you can see here that there has been some excavations, but there can be a whole lot more. So they have found various inlays of ivory here, and the temple here at Bethel here. So these are just the archaeological remains, and I just want you to understand that when we're reading the Bible, there really is you can put this on the map. Okay, then coming then to our poetic analysis of the text. And as you remember, we're following John Hobbins's framework here for the analysis of poetry within the Hebrew Bible. So we have Kav up here. This stands for the line. And we have Samek here, which stands for the strophe. And then the title of the poem here, which begins back there in chapter 3, in, I believe it's verse 2, Rak etkem yadati, only you have I known, and then it goes on from all the families of the earth. And so this is the title of our poem here in chapters Amos 3 to 6 here. And then we have Dephos metri here, the metrical pattern of the prosodic words, and then we have here with the pei, this is a pasuk, this is the versification of where it occurs, in chapter and verse within Amos, and so notice here that I have pretty much all by myself have created here a tristic here, and I'm just following the prosodic word count, because we would have most all translations that view this verse as poetry are going to have here 5. It's just going to be a 5-3. Okay, it's going to be a 5 plus 3. So all of this hear this word, O cows of Bashan, that is going to be just one line. But it seems to be over lopsided, a 5-3. So I just broke it down into a tristic, and following the revia here. Notice here above the Zion here, we have a revia, this little dot here. It's actually like a diamond shaped object here, and it is meant to be a pause. So I just followed this Shimu Hadavar Hazeh, and that makes sense. Remember, these are metrical thoughts. Hear this word, okay? That's very digestible. And then it's addressed to O cows of Bashan, Parot HaBashan, and then and then we have a relative clause, Asher Bahar Shomron. So this makes a beautiful tristic. It's a 3-2-3. I think it runs really nice, and I like that flow. And I'm sure I'm not the only scholar who's done it this way. But I don't think you're really going to find it in a translation. But you probably will in a few other commentaries. And then we come here to these two distichs here that make up the basically the Amos's accusations against these women of Samaria, and it specifically, states that they're oppressing the poor in line A, and then they're crushing the needy in line B. So you can see there's line A is introductory, they're oppressing, and then they're crushing. So you could look here. This is maybe psychological, oppression, but definitely when you come here to ha wrote zet. So you notice here that the Leningraddensis just has a schwa instead of the ha-tef patak that the Aleppo Codex had, and those who crushed the poor. So this here is the more severe, crushing the needy here. Excuse me. And then they say to their husbands, bring that we may drink. So this is just, and notice here that we're going to have to notice here that this should be Adonai hen, okay, with the final noon, which would be a feminine ending, but this is a masculine ending. Just like here, Shim-u is masculine. It's a masculine imperative. It should be Shima'an here for this particular verb, if it's addressing the cows. But you're going to find out within biblical literature, you're going to see masculines thrown in with feminines, because it's just a way in which to enlarge the audience. It's mainly talking here, obviously, about the women, but by using masculine pronouns and verb forms here of this imperative, you can see that the audience is a little bit larger than just speaking specifically to the women. So I want you need to be aware of that. You can't see that unless you read Hebrew. But the forms here like ha-oshekot dalim, this is a feminine participle here, ha-oshekot, and then ha-rotetzot here, this is also feminine. So, but and also here for ha-omerot here, this is feminine, but but it should be la Adonai hen. Bring that we may drink. So this is looking at, it's a socioeconomic accusation of that you have the uber rich and you have the poor working class, and that these people are oppressed and crushed underneath the elite of society. And then they're living luxuriously, commanding their husbands, bring that we may drink. So you can kind of get that they're these are the housewives of Beverly Hills or Dallas, just some real, horrible women, some Jezebels, basically. And this is how he's accusing them. And then when you see here the Yahweh oath formula here, Nishba Adonai Elohim Bekodsho, the Lord Elohim has sworn by His holiness. Well, this here is by heaping up these titles for Yahweh here, for Yehovah, and that he's making an oath by his own holiness. Well, whatever he's about to say is going to be, he's not kidding around, and so so 2a here is functions here as a this is an oath formula, and then it has this eschatological formula for behold the days are coming upon you. Okay, so it's just this is a stock phrase that's used throughout the Hebrew Bible for future salvation or judgment, and here it's judgment. And now we have this form here, and I'm going to read this as a PL. He shall carry you away with, and we'll say hooks, and your hinder parts with fish hooks. So you can see here how the line A is introductory, and then line B with fish hooks, and you shall go out each one straight forward, through the breaches, and then we're just gonna this active sense here of the hifil, we're gonna read it as a hofal, so we're gonna read it as hosh laktena, and you shall be cast out to Harmon, and then it ends with here Ne'um Adonai. This is the affirmation formula down here. It's basically Yahweh's signature, and so this is how I have read this particular text, and broken it down here into the various lines here of a tri-stick, di-stick, and how we've managed to make here some type of strophic units here, and then I put in here the how many prosodic words per versette here, and then the versification and our structural analysis. This is very, very important, and we will continue with this. Okay, then coming then here to Dr. Rodas here on the cows of Bashan here, he's noted that not all commentators are on board that the cows of Bashan are the wives of the well-to-do and well-placed, and he's going off of that, and he's making this observation that we have already seen how there's these masculine pronouns and masculine verb forms that are in our text, that and he's just noting that some commentators contend that this indicates that the prophet is confronting men, not women, perhaps those denounced in the previous verses, and then he mentions here Barstad here, who offers an extensive defense of the religious interpretation of the Marzeach feast. It's basically just a big drunken feast, a rave party basically, and where everybody gets drunk, and that the he ultimately goes with the socio-economic interpretation, as we have followed, that it is talking about women, but the other pronouns that are used, remember the cult could have been a DEI cult, of modern day pagans, that have been so prevalent in our society. So this is what was maybe plaguing them, and maybe Amos was using these pronouns for them. I'm just kind of joking, but it is funny to entertain. But anyhow, so Carol basically comes down to that. It's basically talking about women. And some of the other pronouns that are used, widens the scope that we should include, that, its focus is not just purely on women. Okay, so maybe I should show you a little more clearly here. This verb form here should be pointed as she, ma, an, like this. This is shimu, so this is a masculine imperative. So this would be a feminine imperative. Okay, and when we come here, la adonehem, this should be it should have a final noon instead of a final mem here. So this would make it feminine. Their husbands, referring to the women. And when we come here, the Lord Elohim has sworn in his holiness, behold, the days are coming upon you. So this is upon you masculine, okay? This should again should be written with alechem instead of alechem. So with a final noon. So these are, believe me, when he mentions these other scholars having different ideas, they're looking at this text, and really notice here in this particular distich here, and the Lord shall lift you up. This is masculine with hooks, and then notice here it switches to feminine. And you're behind with fish hooks, all right, and what's left of you with fish hooks. So this is feminine, and this is masculine here. So this is very important to read. And then we already told you that we were turning this into a hopeful here, a past tense, and that follows the Septuagint and all modern versions. Has to be some type of past tense here, and that's just remember the consonants are are inspired, but the consonants came with vowels and whatever the way all of the Hebrew manuscripts came down to us. They're all basically reading Hishlach Tanah, but we're favoring all versions that follow it as a hopeful, which is a past tense stem. Anyhow, I just wanted to show you here, why scholars are going to say something, but this is a little more overt than other texts. But I think when you come here to this, Yahweh's punishment here, and this quatrain here, in verse 2 and 3, especially in 2b here, where he will pick you up masculine with hooks, and your and your hinder parts with fish hooks, and this is feminine. So that lets you know that begins with shimu, and so it's just it's grammatically incorrect, but it's a way to be inclusive, so to speak. And that would be, to let you know that there's a greater audience than just the women that are involved. Okay, so trying to wrap everything up here, we just need to do a quick little walkthrough of our text. So in verses 1 through 3 here, it really does break down into, we have 3 sections. We have this call to attention here, and this begins with our opening tristic, Shim'u hadavar hazeh, parot habashan asher behar Shomron, which is, hear this word, O cows of Bashan who are in Mount Samaria. And then he goes into this accusation, okay, and this would be point B, Amos's accusation against the cows of Bashan, and the opening distich is accusatory of them oppressing the poor, and then the second line is then they're crushing the needy. So we can see that this is a structure of intensification, goes from oppressing, which could be psychological in nature, then moving to crushing, which would be more of a physical act. And all of this is done to support their lifestyle, who say to their husbands, bring that we may drink. So these are party goers. These, like we were saying, these are the housewives, of Dallas or Beverly Hills or whatever. So these are these disgusting women who are truly just completely living for themselves and are willing to deprive people of of their rights in order that they can live their lavish lifestyle. And then and we come then to point C here. We have this, Yahweh oath. It's an oath formula for, promising exile, the punishment of exile. So, it starts off here with this oath that he swears by his holiness, and then, we have this eschatological date formula for the days are coming upon you. And then he goes into another quatrain here. And so this oracle here, then he is speaking here. Then he bifurcates his thoughts to the men, and he shall lift or carry you away with hooks. This is Etchem speaking about the males, and then your latter parts talking about the female with fish hooks. Okay, and that's the first die stick, and then it opens up into the last die stick of the quatrain, and this is feminine, and you shall go out each one through the breaches, and you shall be cast out to Harmon. And then it says Ne'um Adonai, an utterance of Yahweh or declaration of Yahweh. So this ends the unit. So this is, it ends with this punishment of exile, and so it's just important for you to see that sometimes a lot of times the prophets use these quatrains, just the two die sticks, to say what they need in a short, succinct manner, to give us the essentials that would highlight Yahweh's anger and threat of exile for their horrible deeds. Okay, this has been another session of Biblical Theology, Exegesis, and Hermeneutics, where meaning is always context-driven. Please like, share, and subscribe.